Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Onyx Path Twitch for Season 2, Episode 1, Exalted Essence, The Wild Hunters. So, before we dive in, a couple things. First of all, I want to make sure that everyone is aware, in case you missed it, the Pugmire Unleashed crowdfunding campaign is presently underway. Um, we are funded. We've unlocked several stretch goals and are well on our way to unlocking some more. I do believe Ryan, with the company of Bliss and a few other fine folks, began the Pugmire Unleashed actual play yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon, depending on where you're at on the planet. Um, so that's exciting. There's an actual play in place. There's a lot of cool stuff that's being introduced in this book. I had the privilege of working on some of the dog entries. I got to upgrade a couple of the dog callings that had been initially introduced in Pirates of Pugmire. And then I got to create my beautiful babies, the Bargists, who are dogs who um, command and control the unseen, at least they claim to. We'll see how that turns out for them. If you want to know all about how that works and what the Bargists do and all the other cool stuff in Pugmire Unleashed, go back it and get yourself a copy of the manuscript script as it drops.
I
Uh,
did. I did try to encourage someone to be a bar guest, but unfortunately, the blunderbuss was too powerful for Josie to ignore.
Listen, I understand if you have a choice between, well, I can control demons or I can carry a big fucking gun. I understand why you might go with the big gun. That's okay. I'm not mad. If anybody's like, I went right past the Bargist and got to a gun dog, I'm not mad about it. The other thing I did want to bring up before we dive too far into the proceedings are that the Herod has just come out. That is the um, this month's Tasty Bit. It is an antagonist for Curseborn. And the cool thing about the Tasty Bits we're doing this year, if you backed Curseborn, you'll know. The manuscript is still even being updated right now. We are still getting some tweaks ready and in the preparation for getting the PDF out with any luck later this year. But the tasty bits are created in such a fashion that you can incorporate them right away if you have the ash can edition. You can all the rules that you need to bolt on to use these antagonists are included with them. So you can run it right out of the ash can. You don't need to wait. You don't need to go back it and get access to the manuscript, though you certainly can do so. It's just ready to drop in. And there's even notes on how to uh, pick up with the protagonists that are included in the ash can and work in a subplot that includes the new antagonists. So definitely go pick that up. This month's is the Herod. They are a sorcerer who has uh, given into some dark temptations. It's a potential cautionary tale, a possible fate for a ill-fated ally. Lots of cool material you can draw from there. So there we have it. That's us. That's the bills paid. So let's get around and meet our folk. If you could, Bliss, please tell us who you are, what you do, who you're playing, your pronouns, their pronouns, and anything you would like to promote.
Hello, I am Bliss Steel, pronoun she, her. Today I am playing Cessus Telrea, also she, her. I at one point did spicy video gaming streams. I'm on hiatus right now because of the small human that is growing inside of my room. And if you'd like to check out my links, you can go to blisssteel.com as long as you are over 18. I also have done a couple of writing thingies for Odysseys and Overlords. But I am by no means a writer or anything cool like that. Um,
I
yeah.
disagree wholeheartedly. I think you are both a writer and cool.
Oh,
If
thanks.
you've written,
That's true. So yes, I have thrown the grown folks only link in the chat, and I will go dig up some of Bliss's writing and throw that in the chat as well. But while I do, Michael, please give us your pertinent details.
Hello, I'm Asterisk VTuber, Astro or Michael, he, they, and today I'm playing Cessus Falcon, he, him. I am a composer, sound designer, voice actor, singer, and writer that just really likes playing TTRPGs and also stream on Twitch. But unfortunately, right now I am also on hiatus because I am in the middle of a move. But outside of that, you can maybe catch me playing games with some of my friends elsewhere on other channels sometimes. But I don't think there's anything out right currently. I think I'm gonna be in Dorktales maybe next week or
Ooh,
something like
sweet.
that.
What's
But
going on with that?
I believe it's going to be the Gods of Appalachia um, game that we're playing, but
That's
it might be
exciting.
next week or the week after that. But it'll be fun. But yeah, that's me.
Sweet. And since you mentioned Dork Tales, I will also drop a shout out to them, um, as well as your channel. And while I'm doing that,
Appreciate that.
for sure, while I'm doing that, Ryan, your pertinence, please.
I'm Ryan. As Travis said earlier, I have started a Realms of Pugmire actual play to support Pugmire Unleashed's crowdfunding campaign. We started a week late due to player issues, but also it means that we get that first week slump and maybe pick it up a bit because the book's great and deserves to emotionally validate me as a contributing writer to it by making as much money as possible.
100%.
That is behind the scenes. That is the freelance writer life. Every book that funds is emotional validation, because I don't know any trauma-free neurotypical writers, which says something. Speaking of trauma and writing and neurodiversity, that's me. I am playing Tepet Maris, a necromancer, and looping it back around because I've just remembered it's Pride Month. I released one zine in 4 different rule sets because I hate myself over on my itch page and my drive through RPG page. But it's it's 14, I think, magic items inspired by different pride flags for system agnostic, Daggerheart, and both D&D rule sets for 5th edition, because wizards hate me. And it's you can buy bundles, you can buy them individually, just buy them, please. And if you're in the UK or America, I will eventually have physical zines available for sale on my Ko-Fi page. I'm just waiting on the printer. Unfortunately, due to how the European Union shipping laws work, I cannot sell into the European Union currently, but I cannot afford to go through the legal loopholes that I would need to do. I would have to.
Yeah, don't you have to have somebody?
Yeah, it's
like a representative,
an authorized representative, and I know people who would do it for a reasonable price, but I literally cannot afford to pay them to do it for me.
Sure.
And the scale that I'm working at, it's economically unfeasible.
If someone were listening and were in the EU and were enterprising, I bet you could make a really lovely side business of being like a point of contact for several small publishers and indie folk for like a small percentage of what they're making. If I was in the EU, I would do something like that. So
that's hypothetical business plan.
Just throwing that out there for the room. Might be a really cool thing for the EU to do. For somebody in the EU to do. That's all. I know that's none of us here. We're all in various states of crumbling empire. But
pointedly not the EU as of like 9 years ago.
But if you do live in civilization, might be a nice little side income. Speaking of civilization, I think now we should turn our attentions back to the realm, a place that's
burn it all.
It's beautifully civilized. In fact, Telrea brought them a whole bunch of civilization not long ago at the end of an arrow. So
you're welcome.
We had a little bit of a what's the a downtime session, you might say, last time, and Michael wasn't here, so we're gonna catch Michael up a little bit on those discussions, and also give you an opportunity to bring forth kind of your ideas and your visions on that, and then we'll dive into the storytelling. Full disclosure: today's session is going to be a little shorter than normal because we all have some stuff going on, but we will be here for about 2 hours. That also means we're probably not going to take a mid-show break. So you're all grown. If you need to get up, please cover your camera and get up and go do your thing. And that's always the standing rule when I'm running games on here. Anyway, is get up. This ain't school. Get out your seat and do what you got to do. So correct me anywhere that I might go off the rails here. Our discussion as of last week. The principal focus that we're going to aim for is you all returning to the West and trying to sort of mop up the mess over there. It was kind of decided amongst the players who were present that politicking on the Blessed Isle wasn't quite what this group was designed to do.
I mean, if they think that, I'm the guy that swings a sword,
Right.
so
Right.
I'm good with it.
A little less political than the rest, even. Like, can I put a sharp oar through it? Then I can't solve the problem. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's not on me.
So the idea was to exert as much influence as possible with immediate family members, spy networks, and various other assets at the group's disposal to try to help shape things as much as possible before getting on boats and heading back to the West to try to save Wujian and hopefully salvage the rest of the realm's holdings out that way, because you're not quite sure what's going on over there. I know that there was a venture was rolled, and the main outcomes, correct me if I'm wrong here, were that you were able to install a House Cessus regent, though the status quo is largely returned in terms of no clear heir to the throne, so no one has claimed the throne, and effectively houses Mnemon, Tepet, and Catholic have been taken out of the running, with the rest of the houses having their various claims to inheritance that they're going to continue working through with the deliberative under the rule of a regent for the time being. There was also some effort to inject Cessus spies into... Was that primarily House Catholic you were aiming at filling up with spies?
Yeah.
As well as conscripting some of Cathics military specifically to serve you all on your boats. So that when you go out there to try to quash any remaining rebellion on Cathics' side, that you have some Catholic soldiers with you, so that might make it a little more likely that peace can prevail. If that makes sense. Other than that, the other thing we decided was, barring any changes based on what you might want to do, Michael, we're probably going to pick up with you all at sea on the boats about 5/6 of the way back out to Wujian. So did you have any downtime activities that you would like to pursue for Vulcan? Anything that Vulcan would be doing while these politics are being played and the soldiers are being addressed, and the army is being and the city is being cleaned up. In the immediate, if I'm not mistaken, you were all briefly taken into custody by Catholic soldiers, but very quickly after it became clear what happened, you all would have been released. And that it would have started kind of the process of getting a new region on the throne, figuring out who's in charge of what. I'm sure all of you would have been offered political power that you had neither the interest nor wherewithal to have taken. Like, are you sure you don't want to be regent? Quite. You
Good.
Mm.
um,
Mhm. Um, I don't think so. I don't have anything specifically thought of right now. Besides, and I'm kind of like looking through my sheet, and nothing really makes, not that the sheet doesn't make sense. That would be a problem. Not not that, but it's just nothing would make sense to be like a progression on what Volcan would do outside of potentially kind of going with the flow and kind of waiting for us to move back towards the west again. I will say that this go around, I think it wouldn't be too. Uh, I have two personal milestones that I have not used, and I think it wouldn't be too out of the ordinary for him to want to gain the first dot in navigate, and from just utilizing his arsenal summoning gestures so much, and kind of tapping into more sorceress kind of ideas, that I would also get a dot into sagacity,
okay.
and I will just leave the other milestones untouched for now,
All right.
and keep it at that.
And you did increase your essence to 3 and your motes accordingly, right?
I did not.
Okay.
That would be a good
To
thing to keep
believe
up.
that was the end of the that was your reward for killing Mnemon
All
and
right.
striking a devastating blow to the uprising in the realm. So yeah, that should increase your motes. That should also allow you to so your motes would go up to 10.
Mm-hmm.
And you also do get to select another instance of ox body or another excellency.
Okay. Something is going on with my character sheet that's not allowing me to edit it. So let me fix that real quick.
That's no fun at all.
I think I will take an excellency.
Which one did you have in mind?
I will take the presence excellency.
Glorious.
Okay.
All right. Any other business for Vulcan?
Uh, no, I think I'll stick with that for now and try to fix my sheet first. If anything, but I am good to go from there.
Sure. Give me a shout if you need me to pause or if you're having some technical difficulties or getting in the way of play. But otherwise, let's assume that you are en route.
Yeah.
And I know one of the things that you wanted to attempt while you were on the way, particularly, I know that Telrea was interested in this, but I think Maris also had mentioned some interest. You were going to try to talk to Valentine, right? To try to get some more insight from the sidereal among you.
Yep.
Yeah, I said it would be the perfect chance for Telera and Vulcan to get more idea of what's happening because
That would
Maris doesn't know that she's a sidereal. Spy is the wrong word, but agent, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. You can certainly have some discussion with her. The other matter that I don't think we addressed, and let me correct that if we have not, the anathema that showed up during the big fight at the Imperial City. Basically, as soon as they saw that the realm defense grid had been turned on, they broke camp. They were like, "Fuck that." Now's not the time.
Makes sense.
Retreat bravely. Um, so that's where they went. So yeah, you're on the boat. You're traveling along some deep blue sea. The journey has been uneventful, comparatively peaceful. Probably the nicest week and a half you've experienced in recent memory. Yes, of course, there's tension. Yes, of course, there's drilling. Yes, of course, no one has forgotten that what you're sailing back into a war. But all things considered, it's been comparatively calm and quiet. Where would you prefer to have a conversation with Valentine? Do you want to go back up into your sort of routine conversation hideout place in the crow's nest? Did you have somewhere
Yeah.
else you wanted to go? Okay. And would Maris and Vulcan be present for this, or would this be Telrea just approaching Valentine alone?
Vulcan can come if he wants.
Yeah, I'll be here. I'll be there.
Mhm.
I also just now that we've gotten to this point, I have actually a thing that I wanted to ask.
Sure.
The realm defense weapon, what
Yes.
would you say powers this weapon?
Oh God. Hundreds of Hearthstones.
Could I argue, because for some weird reason I'm reading the book and I'm kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool. But there are these sidereal style martial arts that Dragonborn can or Dragon Blooded cannot access
Right.
without first undergoing some sort of unusual or extraordinary story event, as determined by the storyteller or player. I tanked half of that thing. Is there enough
Sure.
like
That
Hearthstone
like
magic
you
that I
just
can,
got like mutated by it, kind
like
of a
like
little
a
bit.
glowing arm type of deal
Yeah.
that happened that I'm just like,
You
this is
you won't
weird.
like him when he's angry.
As long as you're okay with all the other side effects that might open up for you, I'm all for it.
I'm 100% okay. I think that's what I was looking for. I was looking for side effects.
Sure.
Badass.
So I might in the middle, I'll kind of approach them and Elentine and be like, okay, so this arm thing is weird. So but we'll just keep that in the back burner on on the conversation.
That works. And Maris, will you be present for this conversation, or are you working with the troops?
I think in the interest of preserving like character knowledge versus player knowledge, I will just be drilling the Catholic forces to a standard that I am happy with and that the officers of my legion are happy with.
Sure. While we're doing that, then why don't you just go ahead and give me like a A war roll.
Can I use my excellency on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Reasoning that there is a slight time crunch, and in that that works out because that gives me 6 dice, and then this seems more of a force thing because it's a do it fast kind of thing,
Sure.
which is all 10 dice I have to hand.
There you go.
Well, this roll could have been used last session. We're looking at a healthy 9 successes.
Wonderful. Not only do you bring the Catholic soldiers up to the standard you would expect, you find that they enthusiastically accept the purpose and the camaraderie of your forces, as if almost like this is a structure and a unity that they had been craving and had somehow lacked in their previous service.
As part of that, I would also demonstrate the fact that what at first appears to be a perfectly normal bear is in fact a rotting undead bear that I basically use a combination of my essence and its essence to make look normal. And as I draw, as mechanically health levels are drawn from it, it becomes more and more withered and decaying. Just so that they're acquainted with my particular brand of magic, because lest we forget, necromancy is rare among the dragon blooded.
Right. Yeah. This is probably a bit of a bit of a spooky experience for these folks, though less so because your stellar leadership has sort of softened the blow of that shock. While this is going on the decks below, Vulcan and Telrea and Elentine are up in the crow's nest. Elentine, of course, has her eyes on the horizon, but is fully engaged in your conversation. So, what is it that you want to know?
Valentine. So, last time we spoke, I asked you, what if this bitch goes crazy and starts killing everybody? And you were like, oh, you'll know exactly what to do at the time, and everything will be great. We've considered this possibility. So that happened, and so I guess I'm just wondering, what if you've gotten any more information on what happens now, or what the heaven ramifications of this turn of events might be. And yeah.
Those are, I suspect, bigger questions than perhaps you might realize on asking.
Anything you can provide would be helpful.
My communications with heaven have indicated that most immediately these events have led to a increased tension between the sidereal factions. There are those who believe that Mnemon's use of the realm defense grid to attack her own people is an indication that perhaps now is the time to relinquish control of the realm back to the Solars.
Uh-oh.
I and
That
my
would be bad.
faction do not necessarily agree with that assessment, but there is a how do I put this without, I don't want to put too much pressure on you. There's a bit of a rift forming within my faction because some feel that we had an opportunity to install a strong leader that would have been followed with a loyalty parallel to that the Empress enjoys. But that opportunity was missed in favor of returning a status quo so that leader that could unite us all could go back out and get into a fight.
Wait, who? Me?
I mean, you are a hero. You did directly save the realm, whether or not you believe that, that is the perception among the people.
Jeez.
Your actions saved the realm.
Yeah, I was thinking they were talking about Mnemon until you said that last part. Yeah, no. That's not gonna happen. I mean, I guess it could happen. I mean, I guess that if that's what has to happen, it would have to happen, but it didn't. So, oh well.
All
Well,
declined it.
what's that?
We did all decline the offer.
Yes, and perhaps that is how things are meant to unfold. There, as I said, there is debate within my faction as to whether permitting that was the right call. There are those who believe that perhaps we should have intervened more strongly or should still be intervening more strongly, which is part of why I've been reluctant to bring it up to you.
Mm.
Because my thoughts on the matter are complicated and multifaceted. But in its plainest sense, I don't think anybody who wants power should have it. And I think that there's wisdom in experience tempering a potential leader. So, to my mind, I would rather have, if you or your circle are the group that heaven ultimately will back, I would rather have you have the experience to cope with the discomfort that comes along with leadership, if that makes sense.
It does.
I agree. I think that what we do now in Wujan and otherwise might change our minds about whether we want that kind of seat to sit on after the experience that we gain. And, after feeling better about making more progress towards peace. Because right now things are still crazy.
A little bit. And there's a lot of debate about what is fated. If there's one thing I've learned since my exaltation, it's that fate and destiny need an awful lot of work to enable. Free will is paramount in steering the realm. The stars are just mopping up the messes that free will creates. So I guess that's kind of my way of saying I will support whatever decision you make. I am here in an official capacity to preserve, protect, and advise potential future leaders of the realm.
Now, then, I do have an additional question about that.
Sure.
This victory wasn't ours alone. At least not Telrea and mine alone. Maris is also included in this conversation. Should he not also have the knowledge by now?
He should. Um, I would be happy to share any insight with him and happy for you to do the same. Um, I do fear the stars may have a different agenda for Maris.
Of course. I, knowing what I know about what all this, then I would assume that whatever comes after this crusade, I would say, this second wild hunt that we're on, we should consider going back to the capital.
I'm all for it. Again, I am leery of making declarations about what the future holds. There are too many moving parts.
Understandable.
But one thing is certain. All three of you will be tested in ways yet unforeseen when we return to Wujian and beyond.
Well, if that's the case, then if we could indulge me in something that is currently plaguing me in the present, and at that point, I'm assuming I have like a glove or gauntlet on my left arm that I will, take off and show a hand that is essentially glowing in some sort of metal. And so it seems like it's some sort of I'll say that it's kind of a sheen of jade.
Okay.
I was struck only partially, but still struck by the weapon, the realm defense weapon. And the healing process was arduous, and I think I still have ways to go, but could you tell me something about this? Why this seems to be persistent?
She nods a little. Um, the realm defense grid is powered by manses scattered across creation. The essence that flows through it is multifaceted, complicated. Some might say impure, others might say essence at its purest form. Frankly, no one has survived a direct hit from the weapon before. So I'm a little unsure as to what that might have done to you.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't get hit directly. I was just doing my due diligence in shielding my brother in arms, and it hurt.
I would suspect so.
I'm just wondering because this seems very, and then I'll pull out my sword from the pocket dimension and kind of compare the sheens. This is the confusion that I have. It seems that my arm or something of the sort has some sort of prismatic nature to it. And I was wondering if in your sidereal knowledge there is some way to utilize it.
Oh, endless ways. But if you're seeking a greater understanding of it, I can put you on the proper path. It is beyond my capacity or my writ to lay out the possibilities for you,
Of course.
but it is within my influence to teach you some techniques that might help you find them on your own.
The proper path will suffice.
Sure, we can get practicing.
And I'll turn to Taurea and just be like, anything else?
Well, Valentine, just, be sure to let us know if you catch wind of any of the other factions coming after us.
She smirks and says, "Of course, though, in fairness, I'm not certain that they are our greatest concern at the moment." She sort of nudges ahead, and you see in the far distance, you're assuming you're sort of beelining straight for Wujian, right? So in the northwest, you can see the sky darkening, roiling with like black and like green and almost purplish clouds. Lightning in a dozen unnatural colors dances between them. It's distant for the moment, but it seems to be heading toward Wujian.
Uh-oh.
She says, "I suspect you'll have bigger concerns, but I have faith that you and your circle will be able to handle it." She pats you on the shoulder. "My liege."
All right. Let's go deal with that.
All right. The two of you shimmying down the crow's nest.
I'll just be like, any quick lessons you can get going right now?
Um, the first in pursuing any path is to understand the connection between your body and your essence. Understand the place you sit within the universe. And the easiest way to understand that is to breathe. Just breathe properly. In through your nose, out through your mouth, in rhythm with the universe. Feel it flowing through you. And breathe. Also, if a weapon comes at you, get out of the way.
That one would help, yes.
Best of luck.
I'll smile and then also leave the crow's nest.
Excellent.
For your edification, I am looking at the 4 magical materials form.
Okay.
Kind
That's
of makes more sense.
A-okay by me. I have no objection. And you can open it
So-
up, in fact, if you have the proper milestones to do so.
Okay.
Down on the deck, Maris, you are drilling soldiers as you sort of notice this off in the distance as well, while the others are sort of descending down from the crow's nest, this gathering of clouds. And why don't you go ahead and give me a sagacity roll?
Sure. And I will also spend a moment for my excellency because it seems like something I really want to know what that is.
That's
So
fair.
please give me a moment while I figure out which dice I can reroll. Specifically because they've failed and I need the extra dice and not just reroll them dice randomly.
I gathered as much.
7 successes.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, you are fairly certain that what you are witnessing is a storm that has been. What's the best way to put this? Pulled from the underworld and is being moved into the lands of the living, likely for the purpose of either hindering or expediting a fleet.
I feel a chill pass over me and warn my officers that they should alert the soldiers, sorry, that the scale of necromancy which they've witnessed from me is nothing compared to that which awaits them beneath that cloud.
Excellent, excellent.
Don't freak them out or anything.
You are still away from it.
Mhm.
That said, though, it does appear as though they are heading in the same direction as you. Looks like they are heading for Wujian. And the obvious conclusion that you can draw based on the direction they're heading from is that this is most likely a dispatch from the Skullstone Archipelago.
Uh-oh.
As you know, I noticed this and I've finished disseminating that information among my troops. I will find Maris. Hi, Maris. Hi. I'll
look
find
at him,
Telerea and Vulcan, presumably as they've descended from the crow's nest. I'm curious about what they were doing up there with the navigator, but just pass it off as just talking to the navigator, and that's the best place for a navigator to be at this time.
We were just navigating.
Yeah. I'm sure you've noticed by now and just gestured towards the obvious storm. I fear this is a manifestation of the underworld's abyssal energy wrought to purpose that we presumably are responsible for.
We?
Believe that potentially was the help.
Indeed.
Oh. Well, that's good. Right?
It might be the help is a little bit overzealous about helping.
I am also concerned about the price that help such as this. And I tend to stare at the, not insignificant sorcerers working. Will levy on the people of Wujian.
Right.
Mm.
And speaking of help, I was recently given permission to mention, and I don't want to keep anything from you as well for too long. But our navigator, Valentine, and I'll just kind of like look up there.
Mm-hmm.
She's a sidereal.
I take a moment to digest that information, absently compensating for the sway of the boat. An agent of fate is not what I would have thought. This is surprising news. However, I do not understand what she's doing back on this ship with all of the workings that are happening in the capital.
Simply put, us.
I see. In which case, for my part, at the very least, I feel that the less I know, the better. I appreciate your candor in sharing the information with me, but if it is above character, I'm getting mixed up in my head. Is it the celestial bureaucracy, divine bureaucracy?
Celestial bureaucracy.
Celestial bureaucracy. It is the will of the celestial bureaucracy that their agents interfere in my path. Knowing that that is happening will make it an easier transition.
Mm-hmm.
I figured you would say something like that. But
And then for a moment, it's painfully obvious how, like, yes, we've done a lot over the past few weeks, but I'm at my core just a scholar, and I'm so far out of my depth that this, one extra world-shattering thing is just something I'm not equipped to deal with right now.
and yeah, another thing that I was hiding from the two of you, and Tamarea just found out now, and I'll just kind of take off my glove one more time and just be like, yeah, this never fully healed. But I was told that I could harness it, so that's good news. So if you ever,
Curious.
wow, sorry, sorry,
So good.
so if you ever felt bad, and I never wanted you to feel bad about that. I wanted to shield you. I wanted to make sure that you were safe. So that's a good thing. I am technically fully healed. I'm just different, changed.
Again, I appreciate your candor, and I appreciate the gesture that you made that has led you to this situation more than I can fully explain. Know that if you had fallen, I would have turned my very best arts towards giving you the afterlife you deserve.
I'm pretty sure if I had fallen, I'd just be one with the essence at that point, and it didn't really matter.
Well, yes, that is a weapon of terrifying power and responsibility that certain of the Scarlet Empress's family were perhaps not equipped to deal with.
You could say that again. But it
Uh,
looks like we have your old friends to deal with, huh?
I visibly blanch, and I'm not I tanned because we've done a lot of sea travel recently, but I'm still quite pale. Yes, the abyssals take some getting used to, and I was not. I was not looking forward to reacquainting myself with their ways quite so soon.
Well,
But as we get close to Wujian, in like downtime when we're not doing other shipboard duties, I would explain like the basics of abyssal cult etiquette to Tellerone, Vulcan, and my officers to make sure that we don't accidentally piss off an abyssal
Sure.
or a Death Lord and start another diplomatic incident.
Yeah, you absolutely want to make sure that if you're doing that, you're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
Wonderful. You have some discussions about that etiquette. Is there any other, I guess, preparation that any of you would like to make on your way there?
No.
Not from my end. If anything, I studiously avoid Ellentine.
That's fair. As you make your way closer to your destination, you start to see Wujian in the distance. No longer smoking, so that's probably a positive sign. Judging by the way the clouds are moving and the distance they appear to be at, you're sure you've got some time. You'll get there before whatever the storm is bringing. A question of how much will require a successful navigate at difficulty 5. So if you want to know if you want to know roughly how far ahead of them you are, you need to make that navigate check. Otherwise, you're welcome to, just be like, oh, fuck it, we'll be surprised. They'll show up when they show up. We're good. That is an
I can
option.
try. I'm pretty navigating.
All right, give it a shot.
Five.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so you're pretty sure you will arrive around sunset this evening. You think it likely they will arrive the following sunset.
Okay.
You'll have about a day ahead of them.
That's good. We can prepare. And yeah, check on the status.
All right. As you approach the island, where would you like to try to go first? Do you want to try to go to the docks? Or do you want to try to pull up behind Namoya's place and scale the cliffs and go in there?
I'd say we can just go to the docks. Just waltz right in.
All right. Any objections to that plan or concerns about it? Wonderful.
Sure, the tithed Catholic forces are at the front.
All right. Awesome. You pull around to the docks, and it's very clear as you're circumventing the island. The damage and destruction left in wake of the previous conflict is visible from the sea, for sure. But there is an almost straight line kind of carved north to south, as if about a block of the city had just been razed to the ground. North of that, on the side closer to the docks, you see Catholic banners. South, the side further from the docks, all seems to be Nemoya and Tep and Vanif heraldry that you're seeing. As you come around to the dock, you find there are Catholic guards stationed. They don't take any actions to prevent you from pulling into the docks. But once you do, the guards demand identification. Who are you? What brings you to Wujian?
I'll just walk up and be like, I'm Cessus Falcon, and we just arrived from the capital. We've cleaned up. The situation there is resolved, and we are coming back to check on the the progress of this particular front.
House
Yeah,
Catholic.
weird that you haven't heard about that until now. To be
We've
honest.
we've received no communication from the Blessed Isle for a month.
Well, you're in for a big surprise.
What news have you then of the Blessed Isle? Does House Catholic have control of the realm?
Heh, heh, you wish. Heh, heh. We've got like a whole bunch of Catholics, like just like coming off the boat, right? Like,
Yes, you do have several Catholic soldiers that have now been conscripted into your fighting force.
let's just give them a little rundown of all that happened.
Sure.
Quickly. Just,
What's your end aim for this? Do you want them to surrender? Do you want them to join your forces? Do you want them to sit down with Cessus, get their leader to sit down with Cessus Nemoya and negotiate a peace? Like, what direction do you want this to ultimately go?
The cloud is coming, right? Is not there here yet, but it is.
You're
like,
expecting
moving
it.
over.
You have about a day until that cloud
Yeah.
until those
So-
storm
so-
clouds roll in.
So the idea is that after we explain the situation and just look, we are all dragon blooded, and we are all houses of said dragon blooded. That is our enemy. That should always be something that we need to defend our realm against. Not each other. The conflict is over. And if I could make a presence roll if you would like me to, as I kind of just am here. You can
Yeah,
roll
that'd
some
be
dice.
great. I'm gonna call it a difficulty. It's gonna be a difficulty 5 roll because you're trying to overcome. They are, steadfast in their beliefs, their loyalty to their house, and though the events that you're conveying to them are a bit in contradiction with what they expected, they may not be so easily swayed to just simply forget what they're there to do.
That's perfectly fine. I'm going to use emote for my excellency then.
Okay.
Does
I just
does he
got.
get any bonus for the Catholic forces that we've got?
Yeah, I would say you can add. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did I not give you some bonus dice?
Yeah, it was a 4 dice bonus for embassy and war actions.
Yeah, I would say.
Specifically against Catholic forces here.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, so you have a 4 dice bonus there. And the other thing, actually, that we had not touched on, correct me if I'm wrong, Vulcan, but you had started setting up a spy network out here before you even left, right?
Yes.
So what level is your spies? Or were you
It's
using your Princes of the Earth for that?
no, it was a tertiary contacts is what I was using.
Tertiary contact.
Well, actually, no, sorry. The spy network was secondary.
All right. So in that case, then you will add an additional secondary merits are 4, I believe. Let's check.
Well, but before we do that, what's the maximum amount of dice I could roll for a roll again? What was the
The dice limit?
bonuses? Yeah.
Well, your merit it's 3 dice for secondary, and that does not count toward the dice limit.
Okay, great.
But you cannot exceed 10 extra dice added to the pool.
Okay, so I cannot exceed 10 added to the pool, but then I
But
can also
3 of them
still
don't
get
count.
3 more.
Yep.
3 of them don't count. So okay, I will be at I need another 2. 2d.
Oh, I need to make a roll in Exalted. Everyone empty your dice bag.
I forgot I completely
It only took us an entire season to reach this point. Congratulations, us. And this is the
All right.
streamlined version.
So this is the streamlined version. I would like to inform everybody that even though it is a difficulty 5 roll, that I am rolling 22 dice. Anyways,
Dang.
we'll continue now.
And watch it come up 4 successes.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one's caught. Let me roll 2 because my freaking dice roller is not big enough. Okay. It is 9 successes, which is surprisingly few for how
That is.
I have rolled.
It's average of 1 in 3, which is 7 on a d10, but you'd expect at least a couple higher because of the 10s.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. But I got no 10s, so there is that.
Yikes.
Womp womp. All right. So, how would you like this interaction to end? I guess would be what's your ultimate end goal here? Do you want them to come to the negotiation table, or do you want them to just at this point? If you want them to just
Post up, honestly.
bend knee and
Yeah. I'll just kind of I will just end my statement by going, before we even deal with any negotiations and who we need to bend the knee to, I would just ask as a living person on this realm that we've a lot more abyssal problems to deal with right now. And if you could take the time to reinforce your forces here at the port, that cloud is coming upon us within the day.
very well. There. If you want to involve the Cessus forces, they have a captaincy stationed on their side of the trench. If you go straight down this avenue, you'll find it. We can start now. Are we expecting an attack, or are we expecting an envoy?
That is unknown. But for the cloud of that size, we need to be prepared for anything.
Very well. You start shouting, barking orders, places to start shoring up, setting up fallback walls, the whole nine there, prepping for a full-scale invasion.
At that case, and then at that point, I will look towards Maris and Talrea and just to no more then.
Yeah. Who's these guys is like top of the command that's currently here that they take orders from?
So there is a we'll say Captain Catholic. We'll say Captain Catholic Wavebreaker.
Okay. 'Cause, yeah, I think he should come with us to meet with Maya.
Excellent.
And yeah, kill a couple birds with one stone. Negotiate some terms. Because Catholic cannot be in command here anymore. That's a no good.
Sure. Are all three of you going to the Cessus outpost? All right.
Okay. Yeah.
When you arrive there, the guards sort of step forward, like as if they're going to try to intercept you and start asking you a bunch of questions. When you hear a cry from the window of the building that you're in front of, and it says, "My friends, welcome back!" And you see Seafoam Shame jump out of the window and like basically parkour her way down to the street.
Hey, Sipo.
She runs
Glad
up.
to see you're okay.
Absolutely glad to see you're all here. I got stuck being in charge of watching the trench, so yay. But I do have good news. The Tepet forces are all arrayed on the south end of the island. We basically had fought to a standstill, and we've been just holding position for a little while, hoping that you would get back. I take it since you're here, you bring good news from the Blessed Isle.
From the Blessed Isle, good news. From that, though, and I'll just kind of like once again look at the cloud. Not so good.
Oh yeah, yeah. Definitely some dead things on their way. I assume not friends of yours. She looks over at Maris.
I honestly have no idea. The Death Lords do as they wish.
Which is
That's
why we need to have a ceasefire. And I'll just kind of motion at the Catholic captain that's with us.
okay. I have no objection to that. I
We're on our
mean,
way to Nemoya. If
yeah.
you were able to find any commanding officer of the Tepet forces, we'll have a sit down, a real quick one.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's a commander there. Head on through. Are you taking these Catholic with you?
No, probably just the captain.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I assume if you need an escort, please let me know. But I assume that the three of you can handle one Catholic if he gets out of hand.
Yeah.
No, we are of the same mind now. And I just kind of like look at the captain after
Right.
talking to him.
You know, it's our differences can easily, at the very least, be set aside while we deal with an abyssal incursion.
Precisely.
She says, "All right, well, repairs have been going nicely. You're welcome." She looks at the Catholic. So you should be able to make your way easily to Nemoya's estate.
Perfect.
If you
And-
need anything, send an arrow.
Of course. And forgive me for being so curt about everything, but it is good to see you again.
Likewise, I'm glad that you all are here with more or less the pieces you left with. That's
More or less.
I look forward to hearing the long drawn out version of what went down on the Blessed Isle, you know, once we're no longer actively running around peeing on fires.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Indeed,
Uh,
seems to be the norm around here.
With that, I will continue, uh, and with with Telria and Maris towards the estate.
All right. The rest of the journey there is relatively uneventful. You do notice as you're moving through the city, areas where you had fights a month prior are now either completely reconstructed or well along in the process of reconstruction. People are moving about the space. It looks as though, as near as you can tell, it looks like sometime after you left, they fell into like a, holding pattern. They each sort of picked their side of the trench and got ingrained in. Now, over on this side, it looks like there's a lot more day to day life. Like things seem to have returned to more of a sense of normalcy than they did on the northern side of the island. It's very clear that the South are effectively free people that are going about their day, whereas the North are clearly occupied. And the contrast is pretty stark. So much so, in fact, that you can kind of see the Wavebreaker is clocks it and is uncomfortable. Right? It's like, oh yeah, that's right. This is what happy people look like. Oops.
Insert David Mitchell. Are we the bad guys?
Right, exactly. But before long, you do wind up uh, at Nemoya's home. When you approach, the number of guard here appears to have doubled. There are various Tepet flags flying. And you're fairly certain, based on the armor and the personalized heraldry that they have on some of their banners, that this group of reinforcements is the Rose Blacks Legion. The guards greet you warmly and part ways so you can head into the home itself. You're directed to the war room, where Nemoya, Ajeva, and the other general, whose name is currently slipping my mind, but I'm about to look it up, are already having a discussion. Nemoya stands up when you walk in and says, "Welcome back. I'm glad to see you've returned safely."
Well, we're all so glad that the island didn't fall.
No, the reinforcements you called for arrived in time to help us stake out our claim and at least bring a sense of peace to a portion of the island. I don't know if you've ever met Ajeva. This is Maris, Vulcan, and Telrea. She rises and bows her head to each one of you.
I bow back and just, well met, but, and also here is the captain of the Catholic forces, Wavebreaker.
He nods. They also all nod back to him.
We have a bigger issue on the horizon, I'm sure you've noticed.
Maya says, "Yes, we fear a potential invasion. The the Rose Black sent out some scouts, and we are estimating between 50 and 75 ships in their fleet.
Mm.
It was hard to get close enough to get detailed intelligence without, risking revealing ourselves. But we do believe that most of those ships are populated with the dead.
As Abyssal are. Well, and I'll just kind of like look over to Wavebreaker. I would say that that amount of ships wouldn't constitute an envoy.
No, that doesn't sound diplomatic at all.
And that's why we need everybody. Regardless of what happened with the Blessed Isles, and of course I'll explain what happened at the Blessed Isle, and just we need a ceasefire, and we need to work together, all of us. And it's easy for me to say, it's easy for us here to say, but we needed to have you all sit down and agree to it as well before we are to prepare.
Nemoya says, yeah, I have no objection to that. And I think if we want to survive, we don't have the time to play around with this. Let's get to fortifying our positions and working together.
Now, we technically have an expert, and I'm not very sure what information he can bring, but Maris, what could you tell us about how we could fend them off better?
Well, as Captain Wavebreaker's forces found before we left the island, the undead can be. By this term, I mean the Walking Dead. Can be slain as any person can be. They are simply less capable of independent thought for the most part. But if you hack a dead body to pieces, it will fall as surely as a live body. Beyond that, if there is a necromancer, and with a fleet of that size, there is almost certainly at least one, they would be a prime target for a selective. Try to think of the euphemistic term, liquidation, to prevent the summoning of reinforcements. I have studied the theory of twisting the essence that powers the dead into an extremely volatile force, similar to our, I don't wish to say trademark or stereotypical spell, but Death of Obsidian, Thousand Obsidian Butterflies. It produces a similar effect on a much smaller scale, but affects every individual undead within range. That is regrettably still theory. However, I will bend my free time and skill, what little free time there is ahead of me, to perfecting that practice, at least for myself, to give us some edge that they may not be expecting.
Javis says, well, hey, look at the bright side. If you don't get it to work the first time, you'll probably have plenty of targets to experiment with.
That is very true. The last month or so has been a fantastic learning exercise about putting theory into practice. I flatter myself in thinking that I've risen to the task, but this is perhaps more opportunity than I ever wished for.
Yeah.
Having you speak about that, though, gives me an idea. Why don't we have our main forces, of course, to deal with the brunt of the army, but also a strike team designed specifically to hunt down the necromancers within the group, those that could potentially have reinforcements come within the battle.
So you're suggesting we send a small team onto their boats to try to hunt necromancers?
Hunt is a good way to put it.
They give a wry smile. We are wild hunters. That's the reason the circle was brought together.
Nemoya says, then I think we're all in agreement that the Wild Hunt will convene and that any resources that you all need will be at your disposal. She turns to the Rose Black and she says, Ajeva, what are your thoughts? She says, I'd like to leave a nominal force on this side of the island to make sure they're not planning on a pincer maneuver and trying to sneak some people the back way. But I think, given those clouds, most of their forces are going to be coming from the front. So I think it would be pertinent if myself and Seafoam took our navies and just create a dome around that side of the island to try to slow them down, prevent any large scale docking. Ideally, we would be able to buy some time for the Wild Hunt as well.
That would be appreciated.
All right. Seafoam and I will get to work on that. Are there any naval reinforcements that you require, or do you have enough boats and soldiers to conduct your hunt?
From my perspective, we have the resources that we need.
I believe so. Well, at least for my idea as well.
Very well. Then let's get to work. Nemoya says, and aside from fight, is there a contingency plan for what we should do should they make shore?
Hold the line as long as you can.
Wonderful.
And I think it wouldn't be facetious to say don't die. Because while offense is a very important thing, holding on to your lives mean we have less reinforcements to deal with.
It's a valid point. Yeah, we don't want to wind up being pressed into service for the enemy army. So important safety tip. Everybody keep breathing. That said, if there's no further business, you all sort of make your individual ways. In terms of your plan to sneak on the boat, so are you planning on? I guess here's the plan. Here's the question: are you planning on like taking your forces and rolling up to them and one by one like boarding them and making a show of it, or is your plan for the three of you to stealthily sneak your way at boat to boat and uh like geek abyssals in their beds while nobody notices? Like what's the, what's the aim here? What's the
Well, that's the thing. That's the one thing that I want to discuss with everybody as we kind of like walk back onto our ships, and I'll just kind of confront the Talrea and Maris and just be like, Well, what do you? It is all of our expertises now come together. Maris, you would know that at least to some degree what we would be expecting if we are to target specific necromancers and how many these necromancers could potentially have, or at least how many necromancers it would need to power a force this big. Uh, and the other thing is, Talrea, how would you go about it if we were to sneak on versus commanding a smaller army to clash?
Well, I didn't want to say it in front of Cessus Nemoya and the Rose Black, but in the interest of fostering hope, I'm outclassed here, and the magic that I was talking about technically only works on undead I have some that I control. Now, there is a chance I can wrest small numbers away from abyssals, but it is a small chance. So the less protracted engagements that we find ourselves in, the better. We could, of course, be thinking the worst of a good situation and they are simply here to help.
Yeah, that's the thing. If we sabotage their boats, they might not like that. If indeed they are just here to help.
I think we would definitely need to be the forefront, at least in the beginning, at the vanguard, to make sure that they aren't envoys, that we're here to help. But apart from that, it sounds to me that if even after we meet them, we should be conducting this within just the three of us, as stealthily as possible.
Yes, as with our original assignment, the foes that we will be going up against will outclass by far almost everyone on this island.
Well, it worked before. If they have gunpowder and stuff in the hold, we could do the thing we did before and blow them up before anybody's the wiser. That's usually my way of dealing with that.
Yeah. Well, luckily, I don't have to be. I can also have the capacity to be stealthy now. So that's good.
I do not. While I applaud the creativity, unlike the Kathak forces, there is nothing to stop these forces from simply walking across the seabed.
Creepy. Yeah, that's true. We can't drown zombies.
No. That that does mean that our first approach should be embassy, and I would think that meeting them in the sea to see meeting their vanguard ship in the sea and making sure their intent is probably good. And if it is of a small force, say the three of us on one of our ships with a few of our soldiers, it'll be also easier to escape the encounter if it does turn and go south. At the same time, if we are able to intercept them at sea, and they were just envoys here to send for help, we can proceed accordingly and, well, turn them.
This is a good plan.
Let's get prepared then.
All right. As you
I'm going to head back onto the ship.
heading back onto the ship, all right.
Yeah.
The rest of you as well, same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you going to be heading out then prior to their expected arrival?
I think that makes the best sense.
And are you making any attempts to actually hide your ship?
I don't think so. I think I want to. I at least for me, I think the plan is to send a ship with us on it that seems to definitely be an envoy rather than some sort of warship that would ever consider dealing with the entirety of the Abyssal Force,
Sure.
and to sail onto their vanguard, hoping that there is some sort of leadership on the vanguard ship, and so that we could be on uh, embassy terms
Okay.
rather than fighting terms.
So we're gonna say that this is about probably, we'll say around, because you basically arrived at sunset the night before. We'll say that by the time you've got all of your preparations made, got everything in order and people into place, and you're ready to sail up, by the time you interact with them, it's going to be about noon the following day. So you're about 6 hours, 7 hours before them hitting shore. Um, as you approach, you see you can kind of see in the distance a boat be lowered off the side like a lifeboat. And then that boat start making its way toward you. Despite the lifeboat's comparatively large size, looks like it could probably hold 30 people comfortably. You can only see one person on the boat. She is pale skinned. She's probably about 6 feet tall. Waist length black hair that hangs from her head in clumpy strands, almost as if perhaps she had been drowned. She's wearing soul steel armor, and she is carrying over her shoulders, like almost like in a fireman's carry, what appears to be a boat anchor that also appears to be made out of soul steel.
I'm assuming like the anchor is not attached to a chain and therefore for use with the boat. It's more of a I'm going to hit you with this if you piss me
Right.
off
Yes, it is. I'm going
vibe.
to I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
beat you with a
Cool,
boat
cool.
anchor. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. Most people use oars. She uses an anchor. The boat, if none of you interfere with it, does make its way up to where it's basically nose to nose with your boat. And she crouches and does a standing leap onto the nose of your boat.
I would assume that all three of us would be there to meet that.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
She says, I am the knight drowned in silence. I have come to negotiate the terms of your surrender.
Oh.
Yeah. So that is where the diplomacy ends, I suppose. I would want to just, for my own edification, to make sure of your intent. It is not to assist in the retaking of Wujian, but is to take Wujian.
The Death Lord I serve has witnessed this conflict. The dead generated by it have made their way to our shores. We've come to bring peace.
Bye.
By ending the conflict and bringing Wu Jian under the benevolent protection of my master.
Well, I am happy to say that if it was peace that you were searching for, we have already negotiated the terms of peace here.
Yeah,
Conflict
no
should not
fighting
start.
going on now. See?
You have negotiated a ceasefire.
How'd she know?
I am offering you peace.
Of course, in the grand scheme of all things, you would expect the Death Lords to think everything is a ceasefire until peace is brought under their banner. That's not how it is going to happen.
You're not offering peace, you're offering slaughter. That's not very nice.
That is an offensive stereotype. We will.
Subjugation, then, if that's a better term.
We're simply suggesting that Wu Jian become a satrapy of the Skullstone Archipelago. Come under our protection and under our rule. The Silver Prince has no desire to subjugate your people, merely to enlighten them as to their place in the world and offer them an opportunity to spend the rest of their days bound in flesh pondering the awesomeness of the Silver Prince and serving him in death.
Well, we are going to return to Wujian on this boat, knowing that there will be conflict now. We will allow you to return to your ship safely, and I expect that same respect to be given to us in return.
She says,
There
of
will
course.
be no conditions of surrender. We will not go down quietly.
Yeah, sorry.
She nods. I expected no less. And she turns as if she's about to leap off. And then she looks back over her shoulder and says, if you would truly seek to avert war, I give you one option. If you hand over Tepet Barrel Alum, he still serves as Nemoya's personal guard head, correct?
I nod.
You'll hand him over to me, personally. I will turn my fleet around and I will beg mercy on your behalf to the Silver Prince. I will give you
Why did
until
they-
my fleet arrives at the island to make your decision. Are you asking out loud why?
Yeah, I think I'll just say it like without realizing that I said it out loud.
Says I owe him a debt of gratitude for making me the woman I am today.
I see.
So- Well,
So if you wish peace, that is your option. You have, she looks at the sky, about 6 hours.
Your offer and your time limit is considered. I appreciate it.
She nods and then leaps off the boat back onto her own. Despite the immense weight of the anchor she is carrying, there's nary a splash in the water when she lands. She lands as light as a fly. And the boat begins making its way back to their master ship. Unless anyone else has any final business, I think that's where we'll call it. So we're going to button up a little early today. That brings us right close to the 2-hour mark. Any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns about today's session?
Enjoyed it. Thank you, Travis.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
that was
you.
great.
I had a great time because I'm feeling particularly generous and not feeling particularly like digging through books. You can all have one of each milestone. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Spend them wisely. We will be back here in 2 weeks' time. Just a brief note too, because Michael, I don't think you were here for the last one. I know you weren't here for the last one, but I don't think we have discussed this. As a group, we were discussing the possibility of expanding the cast a little bit. Wanted to see what your thoughts were on that. If we do so by like
100%.
one player, I still have my feelers out. Not sure if that's going to even happen or not. But we are at a point now where on ramping new players would be easy
Yes.
to do. So I just thought I'd put that out there. All right. That said, folks, that is us for today. I apologize for being a little bit short, but we do all have some things to tackle. We will all be back here in 2 weeks' time. Yes. No one has anything getting in the way. Let me double check myself to make sure I'm not like, oh yeah, we'll all be here, and like, oops, I have something to do. So I'm just going to double, triple check that real quick. But while I do, if you would, let's kick it off with Ryan. If you could, please tell us who you are, what you do, who you are playing, your pronouns, their pronouns, anything you would care to promote.
Yes, I'm Ryan. My pronouns are they or any. And Travis, I noticed you'd updated the overlay. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I've been playing Tepet Maris. His pronouns are he, him. And he is very, very, very incredibly out of his depth in this whole situation. And as I mentioned at the start of the stream, I did release the same zine in 4 different rule sets collection of 14 Pride-inspired magical items. It's available on my itch page, minutebard.itch.io, and my drive-through page. Just search Minute Bard, or because I was proud of the title, the LGBTQI Armory.
I love it.
That's good enough. I like it. Yeah.
I love it.
It's system neutral, Daggerheart compatible, and then both 5e rule sets, and then the 5e rule sets can be bundled, and everything can be bundled. And there will be physical zines for purchase if you are not in the EU at some point. And if you are in the EU, I apologize, but I cannot afford an authorized representative to sell to you.
That is fair. Again, I would reiterate, if someone in the EU watches this and is like, oh, I could, get a little side job as being the authorized representative for a bunch of independent authors and creators, that's an option. You should look into that. Sounds like a nice way to make money. I suggest it. And beautiful stream kit. Now,
Is that the kitten?
yeah,
She's gotten so
what
big.
happened?
She's 10 months.
Did she eat
My
another
goodness.
cat? Is that what happened?
No, she's half ragdoll,
Gotcha.
and
She's
she's the runt of the litter.
That's
My
wild.
goodness.
That's
Wow.
wild. Yeah. All right. That brings us around to Michael. Your pertinence, please.
Hello, I'm Michael, he, they, or asterisk VTuber or Aster. I currently am on a hiatus from streaming, but I forgot to mention at the start of it that I am finishing up a couple of writing projects and also starting a couple, and we will see how that goes. It'll be really, really exciting when I'm able to share more information about some of it. But yeah, that's me.
Oh, you said the magic word. I completely forgot to promote this at the beginning, so I'm going to step in real quick and offer just a scotch of promotion here that we do have the OPP Con Fiction Contest still cooking. If you would like to write short fiction in any of the worlds that we have a community content program for, that would include Canis Minor for Realms Pugmire, Storypath Nexus for Scion, Trinity, Dystopia Rising, and they came from certain genres. Solarian Vault for Scarred Lands, and Storyteller's Vault, including Exalted 3rd Edition. There is a contest right now. Short stories between 5 and 10,000 words. On offer are gift certificates to Drive Through Fiction, as well as courses with Storytelling Collective, who is a group that is based entirely around basically helping people get jobs as, um, role playing game creators. They all of their courses are aimed toward either actually game design or like how to publish or fiction in this space. It's very, very focused on tabletop. Um, and I cannot recommend their services highly enough. And you get a chance to win a course for free by participating in the contest. I've thrown the link in the chat for all that information. I highly recommend everyone who writes at all give it a shot. I'm going to try to squeeze something in just for the fun of it. Probably a Trinity story. Probably following the detective that I introduced in Tarot. Do a little hard-boiled Jessica Jones type story with a talent in a world full of novas. I think it will be fun. But sorry, I got sidetracked. You said the magic word, and I got totally sidetracked by that. So, yeah,
Very good.
if you have time between now and I think the contest wraps July 10th, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
July 10th, but there's a few extra days after it to let Onyx Path know that you've entered.
Yep, you have till the 18th to submit. So, you have to have your product out by the 10th of July, which is still plenty of time. It's like 2 weeks. You can do that. 5,000 words. Hell yeah, I believe in
Yeah.
you. Get her done. And speaking of people I believe in, Bliss, your pertinence, please.
I am Bliss Steel, she, her. I have been playing Cessus Telrea, also she, her. I am currently on hiatus from streaming right now as well because I am growing a small human inside of me. But if you'd like to see my content and stuff, if you're over 18, you can go to blisssteel.com. I have also written a couple of things for Odysseys and Overlords if you want to check that out. But otherwise, nothing really to promote in my neck of the woods.
Yep, for sure. Definitely, if you just look up Bliss's name on drive through, the books she's worked on will show up. Also, if you are into Odysseys and Overlords and you take a look at the cover, you'll notice that Bliss is the centaur on the cover of that book. Just saying.
It's me.
So, uh, in a very, very real way, Odysseys and Overlords second edition would not exist if not for Bliss and the rest of the folks that were on that stream over at Roll for Seduction. So I am ever, ever in your debt. And that's me. I'm Travis. My pronouns are he, they. When I'm not running games, I'm writing them. I just put up a whole bunch of games for July's Onyx Path game weekend. I've got 4 one-shots scheduled at Start Playing. So if you want to look my name up on Start Playing and come play games with me, that is a way you can do that. Other than that, I once again would implore you to please, if you've not yet done so, go take a look at Pugmire Unleashed. There's a lot of really good work in that book that at least half the people on this screen worked on. There's a beautiful actual play going to be going on throughout the course of the campaign that at least half the people on this screen are going to be involved with. And yeah, other than that, it's a dark time out there. Be the light in somebody's life. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye, everybody.